Hello everyone. In this short video, we will present an in-depth exploration of the user interface for the data connector portion of the Sentinel for SAP solution. But before we begin, it is important to ensure that the solution is installed in our environment. By making sure the solution is installed, we can easily begin ingesting data through the data connector and gain immediate access to all the artifacts associated with the solution. When we made sure the solution is installed, we can proceed to the data connector blade and search for SAP. Once we have located the SAP connector, we can open it up, which will redirect us to the Sentinel SAP data connector blade. As with all data connectors, a brief description of the connector and the prerequisites before deploying this connector are shown. It is crucial to pay close attention to the prerequisites before beginning, so that you can ensure that the agent deployment process runs as smoothly as possible. In this workspace, we see that there are no agents connected thus far. The collector agent is the entity responsible for gathering SAP data. And because the logs are collected through remote function call protocols over the network, it is crucial that the agent is within the line of sight of the SAP system from which the logs are being collected. To initiate the process of adding a new agent, we will select the Add New Agent button. Clicking on this button will trigger the pop-up of a new window, which will provide a step-by-step guidance on how to add a new agent. Before we create a collector agent, it is essential to ensure that all prerequisites are met. Firstly, since the agent operates in a container instance on a dedicated virtual machine, it is necessary to have this virtual machine readily available. The placement of the virtual machine can be on-premise, within Azure, or within any other cloud, as long as there is a direct connectivity with the SAP systems, as previously mentioned. Number 2 of the prerequisites. The SAP NetWeaver software development kit must be downloaded and placed on the virtual machine. Number 3. To allow the SAP data connector to connect to your SAP system, you must have the right authorizations. For the deployment in this demo, we use Key Vault to store those credentials. Make sure that the VM on which the agent is running can access the Key Vault so it is able to get the right credentials to communicate with the SAP system. Now, let's create a collector agent. We give it a name, SAP GUI agent. We specify the subscription. We reference the Key Vault, and we make sure to specify the path where the SDK zip file can be found on the VM. You can specify how you want to authenticate with the Key Vault itself. As you can see, we have managed identity or application identity. And optionally, we can also enable secure network support. In that case, you also need to specify the SAP cryptographic library path. When you specify the configuration for the agent, you need to copy and run the pre-made command to finish the deployment of the agent. This will actually start the kickstart script that will install the agent on the VM. Wait a moment for the script to finish. When the script has successfully completed, you go back to the user interface and you can now see a healthy agent popping up in the user interface. One more final step and we are ready to get those SAP logs in. For the final step, we need to add the SAP system to an agent. So first of course, you need to have an agent installed, which we already created in the previous steps. So let's now click on the button Add New System. Now, we can assign an SAP system to an agent. By assigning an SAP system to an agent, you can define, for example, which logs should be collected. In system settings, you specify whether it's an ABAP server or message server, the IP, the system ID, system number, and client ID. Afterwards, we move over to the Authentication tab to provide the SAP credentials. And lastly, we specify which logs to collect. When you have reviewed your settings, you are able to add the system to Sentinel. After completing this step, a new system is shown in the user interface and data will be collected into your Microsoft Sentinel workspace.